Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another podcast. And this time, we are looking again at West Ham 3 months on down the line. My first episode was 3 months before that, so being a bit of a gap, a bit of a time distance difference or whatever. And yeah, it's just to see what's happened, because a lot has happened. Of course, in the first episode was pretty dismal because obviously things weren't so great at this club. And then the second episode, things improved because we won a trophy. And now in this episode, things have changed again. The main thing to focus on that's happened this time is the sale of Declan Rice. Declan Rice has been sold for 105 million Great British pounds. That's correct. This was a expected transfer. I remember saying to my friend after the final, this is his last moment for West Ham. This is his last match. So it was a fitting end, and all things considered, I think it was the right time for him to move on. It was just a question of when he would leave, who he would leave to. And I think me, just like most people, expected him to move to Manchester City. This move was thought of, potentially, but never materialised. It looks as if Man City were raising his price. And then in the end, they switched gears. They got a defender, and they got a winger and other players. So I don't think they necessarily were in that hunt for that position, really. And then Arsenal confirmed it. So yeah, I was happy enough. I think my friend who's an Arsenal fan, so I was happy enough for him to get who I think is a really decent player, who had mixed feelings were from other Premier League fans saying he's overrated or whatever. I really think he was a great player. He just had sort of probably not his most amazing season, but still a solid season for him. And just in general, he was solid for so many years at this club. He did so much for us. And in the end, we got a great price for him, which I was really happy with. That money was reinvested into 3 players. So it worked out really well for us. And those 3 players were... Number 1 was... Sorry, guys. I apologize for the noise as well. James Wood. Sorry, the first player that was signed was Edson Alvarez. Edson Alvarez was a defensive midfielder, and just to preface, these players were bought in late in the window. So Edson Alvarez was a defensive midfielder, played for Ajax, and I was very happy with the signing just because it was a smart signing. It didn't feel like an overpriced signing. It felt like a reasonable pricing for him. Also with this signing, he was a young player and coming into his prime, and it was a great, I did have a sort of feeling of, who's from a foreign country, is that going to be a big adjustment period? Obviously you can't replace Declan Rice, he's difficult enough to get a player even to a half a level of Declan Rice. But yeah, I think he was a decent replacement, and I had a good feeling about this guy. The next signing we brought in I was super excited about was James Ward-Prowse. If you know anything about James Ward-Prowse, he's a set piece expert for Southampton. Free kicks and also corners. And just in general, his play is just solid, and I feel like it was a nice addition and a midfielder we needed at the club at the time. We were crying out for, I kind of made mention to a midfielder in my first episode, my first podcast. But definitely a player that I was really happy to pick up with. English, experience in the Premier League, perfect signing, great price. It was 25 million for this guy. So yeah, an excellent player, and also, a player who instantly starts in your team, instantly makes your team more better. And what we've come to learn from James Ward-Prowse is that he is very a lively player who has a lot of passion for the club. So that's one thing I would have really enjoyed about him. The third player we bought in was Konstantinos Mavropanos. We have not seen him yet. He's a defender, and we'll yet to see where he will fit into the plans, but most likely a backup player. And the fourth player was Mohamed Kudus. Mohamed Kudus, a striker. I've always seen good movement from him again in the City game, which we'll get to. But yeah, a player which I was also really excited for. But yeah, yet to see much of him. But again, a striker was extremely needed, and it looks like that was a good use of money. Also, the most we've seen of a player Prowse has gotten 3 assists and 2 goals, so he set the ground alight. We have yet to see the best of Alvarez yet, but I believe he's going to be solid, and we've seen a few bits that have shown promise from him. So that was amazing. So you can bite your hand off and saying getting rid of Declan Rice and bringing those great players, excellent. The only issue was the players did come in late because the sale of Declan Rice came on the 5th of July. We had to wait a whole, month for the signing of these players, basically. So it was a long time coming, and it just meant, like a lot of times at West Ham, leaving transfers late, leaving signings late, and you have to wait for ages for these players to come in. But inevitably, we'll see, hopefully it'll be worth it. So I think that, Moyes is onto a winner here with these signings. And I feel like I have a good feeling about them. Unfortunately, we did lose a few players who did not live up to things. Gianluca Scamacca, remember that striker we brought him in literally last year, of course, alongside Paqueta. He did not do much. He was not good. He failed to do much. Unfortunately, the injury I feel like hampered him, and then I think his head was out of it. I remember watching him for a few games, and I think I was excellent. I was really into him and really raving about him because he scored a great goal, etc. But of course, all these things, don't always pan out, and I feel like definitely wanted to get back to Italy, so he went to Atlanta. But he's really a shame because I feel like he could have done a lot more in the Premier League. Next up was Nikola Vasic. He was on a loan out to Torino, I believe. I believe he's gone there permanently. What can I say about this guy? He was better in FIFA than he was in real life, weirdly enough. A lot of potential, but we never really saw anything from Vlasic, to be honest. 1 or 2 games, even less so than Scamacca. I wasn't too big of a fan of this guy anyways. So there you go. Next up, Arthur Masuaku. He did a lot for our club. He scored one of the most iconic goals against Chelsea. Look, he had his moment in the sun. Maybe at the start of I believe when Moyes originally came in 2017, he had a few moments of genius skill moments. But that was about it. I must say, a player we probably should have shipped out earlier when we had got a bit more money for him. But of course, we weren't so good, and we needed backup in that position. So again, one of those things where you're like, fair enough, he's gone, but kind of a cult legend in a way at this club. And of course, Manuel Lanzini, speaking of cult legends, this guy definitely fits the bill. Remember that goal he scored against Spurs, which denied them the title? Excellent. To be fair, Chelsea won, so can you say that was like the worst of two evils? I don't know. But Lanzini, one of those players where he never really lived up to potential. And unfortunately, when he left, there wasn't really any big, noise, because of course his career really did peter out. He had kind of 1 or 2 good moments in the last couple of years at this club, especially in European competition. He did a lot in the Europa League, which we were happy with. Great backup player. I'm sorry to lose that type of player who just bleeds for this club. Been here for so many years, and he kind of is like a memory of bygone era with when we had, Payet and stuff, and we had that whole Bilic era. But definitely a sad one to see him go for many reasons. But anyways, it kind of feels like if we're transitioning into this new era at this club, like I'm looking at the players we have. Areola is starting in goals now. We have the like literally, I'll just read off the names who literally started our last game, because it feels like a whole different kettle of fish that we have this season. We're transitioning away, and it feels like the whole old era, the Declan Rice kind of system is kind of dying out. In called Areola, so Fabianski's kind of taken a bit of a step back, I think. I believe he was not happy with this. I heard recently saying, Fabianski is not happy not starting for West Ham. I'll be honest, he's 38. I can't believe that he still thinks he should. Okay, he's been solid, but you can't rely on 38-year-old. I'm sorry. Look, it's a bit acrimonious, but we've seen how good Areola was in the Europa League last year. Sorry, Conference League. And it was kind of writing on the wall for me. I thought Areola would have started in the Premier League last year, but seeing him start this year is no surprise to me. I think they should have sorted it out better. Maybe tell Fabianski, look, you get half the games, you get the European games. But we will yet to see. I think maybe Fabianski might get a show out in Europe. And look, I think that's not too bad for him at this stage of his career. Whatever he says, I feel like he should have been maybe talked to a bit more and, explain what the situation would be last season. But yeah, of course he wasn't, so it's a bit annoying. But anyways, moving on. Like Zuma, now Guerd has really solidified his position there. Obviously, Ogbonna was getting a bit old. And to be honest, at that position, like it's kind of a no surprise who we have there. Kufal is still playing there. Emerson, obviously. We actually saw Kero come on as well, so kind of similar to what it's been in the past. But yeah, Alvarez, the midfield has all changed because Alvarez is playing now. We also see James Ward-Prowse playing in that midfield as well, which I'm really happy to see because he tends to play nice football and also a solid player who can attack well. Yeah, and of course Souček was playing. He started, was eventually subbed off for Benrahma. So say what you can about those players, but they do tend to score goals sometimes. So there's one thing there. Lucas Paqueta, we love to see it. Paqueta is looking really good this season. Not quite a lot of talk about him, but yeah, he's looking really like he's even in the City game, which we'll get into the games this season. But yeah, getting into he's played an immense ball to Mikel Antonio. If it was only for his poor touch, it would have been a goal. Jared Bowen, a lightning start this season as well. 3 goals already from 5 games. So yes, solid start. And surprisingly, in my opinion, Mikel Antonio has continued to start this season. Mikel Antonio, remember last season I said this guy is definitely going to be gone, and then I see him this season and I'm like, holy shit, he's still here, and he scored a pretty good goal against Brighton, and I'm thinking, you know what, there still could be more in the tank here. Now I've heard mention of maybe, Kudus starting. I think that makes sense because Kudus has more batteries in the engine, let's put it like that. But Antonio was a sub. I could totally get on board with that. I did remind me that this is Antonio, and he's still a frustrating Antonio as always. But he still does quite a lot of pace, which I didn't realize he still had, which I think could be useful. But anyways, yeah, this has been an interesting season so far. We have played 5 games, as I have mentioned. Those 5 games have come in the Premier League. The first game we played was against Bournemouth. We drew. Jared Bowen scored in this game. It was a solid enough game. Again, I think I expected more from West Ham and from this one. I'll be honest. Yeah, look, we kind of got outplayed by Bournemouth, which is a bit embarrassing considering Bournemouth weren't up to much this season. And my initial thoughts on the season were, oh god, this is not going to be the most amazing Premier League season ever, is it? But yeah, the thoughts quickly changed when we played our next game because I was absolutely shocked by the result I saw. It was a 3-1 victory against Chelsea. Now, I didn't even come to realize how bad this Chelsea team would be. Very bad, actually, by the looks of it. Team that will struggle to make mid-table this season because this is not a good Chelsea team. It's a team basically thrown together from scrap heaps of under 20s players who are being given too much money. And look, you can look at it however you want. It was an impressive win, a counter-attacking win. Important thing to note, 24% possession, the 3 goals from Naif Aguerd, Mikel Antonio and Lucas Paqueta with a penalty. But yeah, absolutely amazing. I believe Antonio scored a goal on the counter-attack. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, an absolutely amazing win. Just showing you that Moyes is really returning to those old tactics he had before, the counter-attacking low possession tactics. A little bit surprised by that, of course, last season in the Premier League, and much in Europe as well. He did try to control possession, try to keep things under his belt, and say, "Look, I'm gonna make sure that we learn new, more exciting ways of playing football with some exciting possession-based players." But no, clearly we've returned back to his roots, which I think makes sense. Look, I did mention it before how I believe he was a little bit tactically inept. I still think that applies here. But yeah, still really happy with this result. I think it was good. I think maybe it couldn't have gone much better in this game. The next one after this was another amazing game, and probably an even better result, you can argue, based on how they've played the season. Brighton Hove Albion. In this game, we had 22% possession. We scored 3 goals, 3-1. James Ward-Prowse with a goal, Jarrod Bowen with an incredible counter-attacking goal, and Mikel Antonio also with an incredible counter-attacking goal. To be honest, I don't really know what happened to this game with Brighton, because they're currently flying high in the Premier League season above us. But yeah, it was just one of those moments. I feel like maybe they had an injury or two, but they really got caught out here because they had a stacked playing team. It just shows, I think, teams around this level, West Ham, are going to have really good competitive games against this season. Unlike what I said in my predictions, we have come to a lightning good start, which I did predict, to be fair. Whether this will last, I'm not too sure. Brighton seem to be more consistent in the Premier League, I'll be honest, but I still feel like we have a lot going for us, and I think we can bring that to the table. I think we can shock a lot of teams and actually perform extremely well with that low possession base. Have you seen teams with this low possession do this well? I'm not too sure you have. Now, to be fair, you could argue we were a bit lucky. They had a lot more shots on target. I think Brighton got a little bit unlucky in this game, but yeah, still a really impressive result, and one that we can definitely back up and say, look at Prowse, look at Bowen, look how well they're doing. There's a little partnership going on here. And then we had the Luton Town game. A game where we didn't play well for a lot of the game against a poor Luton Town side, but we did end up taking 2 goals, Jarrod Bowen and Kurt Zouma. One thing I will mention is how they were a solid game here, a few set pieces or whatever. We do manage to concede a late goal once again, so the defence isn't totally solid, but I do really enjoy games like this. It was more of a possession-based game. Still happy enough with it. I still think with the possession we didn't play as well. So that is something to look at this season, is that, we can't always play one way. We need to have multiple game plans, multiple things, and I'm not too confident to see if Moyes is fully proficient at other styles at this stage, because I am super confident when he plays counter. I'm super confident. Maybe our possession style against very low teams in the Conference League was okay, but this season it's going to be a lot tougher. And yeah, I'm struggling to see if he's going to be proficient enough at it. But yeah, anyways, the last game we played very recently, was against Man City. Now, just focusing on formations, we kind of fluctuated between a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-1-4-1. I think, based on the fact that we have Alvarez fit and ready to go, I think that's the preferred way to go, with him playing in that midfield. I believe with Souček, and of course sort of that attacking quadrant of Bowen, Ward-Prowse, Lucas Paqueta and Kudus, with Antonio off the bench, I would imagine. But obviously Antonio started this game. We started respectively well here. I believe we were under the cosh quite a lot, but Areola got us out of jail a lot. He got a record 10 saves, which is the most of any Premier League keeper this season in this game. One thing to note about this game. We actually ended up getting the first goal in this game about the 36th minute, in a bit of a smash and grab. James Ward-Prowse scores. It was great to see. Obviously, I was very excited, very much celebrated this goal, and basically thought the best, and thought we were off to the races. We were gonna. At some stage, I knew a goal was coming from City, because they just hound us time and time again, and eventually. I hate the way we conceded straight after the second half. Like we were like, oh yeah, we got the second half. All right, let's keep going. Let's refresh some new players. But again, the goal came pretty quickly. It was a very good goal. And then, of course, they score after a lot of domination. They eventually get the second goal, and then a third followed after that, and then the game was done. So at the end of it, I feel like they probably deserved it, obviously, but it wasn't as far apart of the 3-1 would have suggested, in my opinion, because there was opportunities for us to go out there. We just did not take those opportunities, I think, while City obviously clearly did. It's the old cliche, but yeah. Overall, I think Areola was amazing. I'm happy to see him as a starting keeper. Seeing Kudus get a few minutes, maybe as more of a winger than anything, but that's what it felt like. So it was an interesting game. Going forward, we're going to be playing Liverpool, so I'd imagine it's a similar level of like, oh fuck, as City. I'm just skipping on with the Europa League game. It's a Bakala Tupala. Don't know who that is. I think we'll win that one fairly comfortably, hopefully with a second swimming squad. And then going into that Liverpool game, look, we're playing at Anfield, playing against an undefeated Liverpool side. Just like City, it's going to be really difficult. I feel like they're just more intense than City are usually, because City can sit back, basically just wait for you to collapse and then they pounce on you. Like, they waited till the 65th minute to basically get clinical. With Liverpool, I like the way Liverpool have been this season. I suppose they have been playing poorly in certain halves. Something tells me at Anfield, based on the confidence boost they got from their last game, which was a really good confidence boost, putting in 3 goals, 3 assists from Salah in the second half, I feel like they're going to start this game hot in Anfield, and they're really going to put a lot of pressure on us from the get-go. More so than maybe with a City playing away. But yeah, look, I feel like we're going to get maybe 1 or 2 opportunities in this game. It's going to be even harder than the City game, in my opinion. And I believe we might score. I think we always have an opportunity to score against Liverpool and City. But the thing about Liverpool is they just need to convert one of their many chances, and they're in business. I believe they'll beat us. Also 3-1, just to match what City did. But yeah, what I'm looking forward to is more than the game after that, because I feel like it's going to be more of a litmus test of how we're getting on. Obviously, we have Lincoln City in the EFL Cup. We can skip past that. We have Sheffield United away after that. I believe away. At home. That's a huge game, because that's kind of like a stamp on your season. You're saying, like, if we can, this is a team we should surely be beating at home. Let's see the style we're going with the season. Let's see how we're going to take on this season, how we're going to do it. So yeah, the Sheffield United game for me is a big one to look forward to, because I think that will be a big stamp on the season, a big marker to see where we're at. And like I said, I still feel like we have a bit of that Europa League conference, and also the new signing bounce, because I think there was such a negativity kind of in that period between when we sold Rice, we didn't have players in, there was rumours floating around about Maguire, stuff was kind of looking a bit grim, like Maguire, McTominay, that sort of area. Now you can say what you want about Maguire being an okay player in our system or whatever, but I'm much happier to pick up a Mavropanos. I know it's a sort of if the Maguire signing would have a sort of a Dawson feel about it, like, ooh, Craig Dawson, what can we do with this player? I can kind of see what people are saying about Maguire maybe fitting into a Moyes system. But yeah, Mavropanos is a younger, more exciting player for a reduced fee. I believe that's a better deal. As a sort of backup centre-back. But what was I talking about? Yeah, but basically I feel like the whole sort of positivity is sort of seeping back in now. Personally, obviously, I wasn't too confident that our Premier League finish would be that great. How do I feel now? I feel obviously slightly better now. I think what a lot of people are saying, which I kind of back, is let's wait to give that Moyes that contract extension. Maybe not just give it to him straight away based on what we've just seen, because we're literally 5 games in. Should really only judge a manager after 10 games. I believe we see how we are after that Sheffield game, after a few more games in that similar caliber of team. And if we perform well, we show the best, and we put those teams away, I can honestly say fair play to Moyes. He should get more time. But if we struggle, we start to falter a little bit like we did last season, and it goes back to that same sort of way we were, then I would rethink things maybe and just say, look, Moyes, you need to pick up your act this season, or else you're out the door next season. I know I'm still, obviously we can say like, oh, you're being so harsh on Moyes still, but like if you look at it, if it's 2 bad seasons in a row in Premier League, regardless of whatever happens, Premier League is the focus, and to struggle that much 2 seasons in a row in the league, and nearly get relegated is, for me, a point of worry. I think I'll stick with that theory because your Conference League, look, you're playing a lot of poor teams there, so technically, how many great performances have you seen by West Ham, against good teams? That's a real measure for me of how you're performing. So, yeah. Anyways, I think that's all I've got time for this episode. Maybe I should do some predictions for the season, because I know it's kind of underway. And I did actually have on my phone where I think West Ham were going to finish. So I might just refer back to that, because, it's good to know what I said at the start, as opposed to being sort of biased by saying it right now. Well, yeah, because you kind of have a clue now. Basically, I predicted 12th to West Ham, so I guess, I'll stick with that prediction. Look, mid-table will be good. Anywhere above 40 is obviously good. I would probably be aiming for about 40, high 40s, I would say. So, between 46 and 49, yeah, something like that. Give me that, and I'll be happy. Ish. Depending on how the other teams perform, but, that's kind of my prediction. That's kind of where I think we're going to finish. Obviously, I won't be happy that I would like more than 50, mid-50s, but I believe we'll probably get, high 40s. Top goal scorer, as you can see, currently I think Bowen is the top goal scorer. I believe, obviously, he will get that. Will he get 20 goals? That's a really big question in my eyes. I think we're talking more about 15 to 17 goals, which I still think is a strong tally based on what we've seen, obviously, in recent years. Our top goal scorers, you kind of shared amongst a few players. We usually get a decent striker, he gets injured, etc. He has some controversy, but yeah, I remember Arnautovic getting around 12 and 13, which I thought was decent, 2 seasons in a row. I would like to see both get into that 15. I don't know what we got last season, 11 or 12. I'd like to see him get 15 goals. Top assists, who the candidate will probably be either Ward-Prowse. I'd say Ward-Prowse. I think that's pretty simple. He's in the middle of the park. He's able to string things together, and I believe, obviously, with set pieces, it will be easier for him. I would say I would happy with around 8 to 10 assists this season. Maybe that's a little bit conservative, but I believe that's realistic. What else is predictions? Oh yeah, Europa League finish. I believe we will get quarterfinals, and we'll get a tough draw. And what else? Oh yeah, League Cup. Yeah, like I said, I usually predict around fourth round, and then FA Cup 5th round. And what was the other thing I was supposed to predict? Trying to remember. I believe that's it. But yeah, anyways, so that's pretty much it from me, guys. Obviously, I'm a little bit conservative with my West Ham opinions, basically based on the fact that I've been a fan for 2017. I've nearly seen us get relegated 3 times. Look, I've seen the highs and the lows of this team, so that's why I'm a little bit, skeptical about things. So obviously, we'll see how things pan out, and that makes all the good moments the sweeter, So, but anyways, stay tuned. I will be posting a new retrospective very soon, so keep an eye out for that, and on YouTube. And yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching, and good luck or listening. Sorry. Bye bye.